So, there I was, smack in the middle of summer. My folks had zipped off to our place in Cape Cod for the weekend. It's just a quick 2-hour hop from home, so no sweat. They left me to my own devices. Mom had whipped up some tasty pulled pork and pasta, ready for a zap in the microwave. Plus, I had a bit of cash for pizza if the craving hit. Everything was cool. The first night alone, I was up until 3 a.m., totally lost in my Xbox games. Ended up rolling out of bed way past noon the next day. Grabbed my phone and saw it was past 1 p.m. Oops, had plans to meet my buddies for street hockey at 3, so I hustled into the shower. Now, I'm the king of long showers. With the rents out, I took full advantage. There I was, chilling in the steam for like 45 minutes, scrolling through Reddit and Twitter. Then, out of nowhere, I heard a door swing open. Our bathroom's right above the back door, and that thing is loud. The front door's the same. Instant freeze. I mean, I was supposed to be the only one home. I waited, heart pounding, for what felt like ages. Maybe it's just the wind. Or perhaps my folks are back early. So, with nerves of steel, I kill the shower, wrap up in a towel, and tiptoe downstairs, trying to solve this mystery. Our house is ancient, and those stairs, they creak like you wouldn't believe. But there I was, creeping down, taking nearly a minute to conquer all 12 steps. Just before the kitchen, I pause, trying to calm my racing heart. I'm thinking, get a grip, you're being ridiculous. There's no way someone's in the kitchen. If there were intruders, I'd have heard more noise, right? So, laughing at myself for being such a chicken, I stride down the last 2 steps and swing into the kitchen. And boom, there's this guy, smack dab in the middle of my kitchen, staring at me with this huge, eerie grin. But it wasn't his face that stuck with me. It was his arms. They were all twisted up, bent in this freaky, unnatural way, almost like they were backward. It was the weirdest, most unnerving thing I've ever seen. I swear, my heart nearly leaped out of my chest. In hindsight, it was super creepy, but right then, adrenaline took over. I lunged at him, landed a solid punch-slap combo to his jaw, and bolted upstairs like a madman, towel forgotten in the kitchen. I'm in my room in a flash, door locked, chair jammed under the knob. I'm on the phone with 911 before I even realize it, voice shaking, explaining the horror. There I am, curled up on the floor, eyes glued to the door, just praying for the cops to show up. And then, the shadow. It's him, right outside my door. I can't even describe the terror. I'm frozen, staring at the shadow moving under the door, while the 911 operator's voice fades into the background. I'm too scared to even whisper. Time crawls by until finally, the shadow's gone, and I hear him leave. The silence was deafening. Then, the cavalry arrives. Cops at the door. I've never felt so relieved. Since then, my parents never left me solo. I'm super vigilant about locking up at night. Sure, I get nightmares now and then, and my heart races whenever I see someone just standing around. But I'm managing. Despite working with sketch artists and police lineups, they never caught the guy. Chills me to the bone. Sometimes, I peek outside, half expecting to see him under a streetlight, grinning back at me. Who he was, what he wanted, I guess I'll never know. Maybe that's for the best. This whole crazy thing went down a few years back when I was shaken up with my ex. We'd just moved into this new place, only been there a month when it happened. My ex was out partying with work friends, and I was flying solo at home. Just me, some TV shows, and my favorite takeout. But then, things started getting weird.
I kept hearing these odd noises.
Every time I tried to focus on them, figure out what the heck they were, they'd just stop. Night crept in, and I decided to head upstairs and spend some time on the computer before hitting the sack. Our phone line wasn't set up yet, and my pay-as-you-go cell had run dry. I was cut off for the night. There I was, in the bedroom, this tiny lamp barely lighting up the place, tapping away on my laptop. Then those strange sounds started up again. This time, it was a soft rattling. So faint I wasn't even sure if I was really hearing it or just imagining things. I killed my music to listen better. I even checked our bedroom window, looking down at the front door. Nothing. Our place had this little yard, walled in by bricks and a solid gate, but it was pitch black out there. Still, didn't seem like anyone was lurking. I shrugged it off and turned my music back on. But about 10 minutes later, this creepy metal-on-metal screeching noise starts up. Super faint, like whoever or whatever was making it was trying to stay quiet. By then, I was seriously spooked. I remembered this heavy iron rod we found in the back of our wardrobe. I didn't turn on any lights, didn't want to tip off anyone who might be skulking around. I was starting to think maybe, just maybe, someone was in the house. So, there I was, creeping into the bathroom to peek out at the alley behind our house. Our place was sort of L-shaped, with the bathroom sticking out further. I clambered onto the window ledge and eased the window open, straining to see anything in the alley. I couldn't see squat, but I could hear whispers coming from right behind my gate. Bits and pieces of conversation. They'd seen us move in and noticed all our pricey gear, guitars, laptops, my fancy camera, TV gaming stuff. It sounded like they figured I was home alone and were waiting for lights out to make their move. I was perched there, feeling like a lifetime passed, when suddenly, the loudest thud ever. They were done being sneaky. Now they were just slamming against my gate, trying to bust it down. I saw the gate shuddering with each hit, and let me tell you, I'm no heavyweight, just 5'3" and barely over 100 pounds. Scared stiff, I clutched that iron rod, racking my brain for a place to hide. Then, out of nowhere, this blinding light hits me. My first thought, they're shining a light at the house. But then I heard dogs barking and people shouting. I risked another peek. Turns out, the house across the alley had a floodlight, and it was lighting up everything: their yard, mine, the alley. I heard grumbles, cursing, then footsteps booking it down the alley. I stayed holed up in that bedroom until my ex stumbled home around 4 a.m. drunk as a skunk. I didn't sleep a wink. The next morning, I checked out the yard. My gate was practically off its hinges, easy access from the alley. The lock was all scratched up, like someone had been trying to force it, if the neighbors hadn't woken up. Man, I don't even want to think about what could have happened. Okay, so this happened a good 10 years ago, and it's still super clear in my mind. We used to live in this house that had a balcony off my mom's and my bedrooms. There were these big double glass doors leading out to it, and right next to this balcony were 2 trees. I often climbed one of them to get to and from the balcony. This balcony faced the street, and I was around 13 years old when this spooky thing happened. One night, my brother and mom were out, and I was in my room. I started hearing noises outside, like something moving in the trees. I figured it was just possums or bats, since we got a lot of those around our area. So, my room had these thin curtains over the glass doors to the balcony. The doors faced the street, and there was this street lamp that always shined through the curtains. That's when I noticed something creepy, a shadow, moving slowly past the doors. I instantly turned off my reading light and froze. The shadow was tall, way taller than any of my neighbor friends or my petite mom. This person was moving slowly, sneaky-like, as if they were trying not to be seen. They probably couldn't see into my dark room, but I could see their silhouette because of the street lamp behind them. They moved past my doors, and I just sat there, too scared to move or even think about what to do next. Then, I heard something that made my heart race, the sound of someone trying to open the glass doors to my mom's room. I had no idea if she'd locked them or not. I moved super quietly and quickly to my bedroom door and locked it. I listened intently, heart pounding. The person was still fiddling with the door handle, but it sounded like they couldn't get in. I felt a bit of relief, thinking they'd give up and leave. But then, I heard footsteps coming back towards my doors. My heart was in my throat as I saw his shadow stop right in front of them. A hand reached up towards my door handle, and I couldn't remember if I'd locked those doors after being out there earlier. It felt like forever waiting for him to try the handle. Thankfully, when he did, it didn't budge. It was locked. I almost sighed out loud but caught myself. The person started pacing back and forth on the balcony. I didn't have a cell phone. Mom thought I was too young and the landline phone was way on the other side of the house. I was too scared to look away from this person, even to call for help. I was silently crying, praying they'd just go away. Then, the pacing stopped. The person said something chilling. I could just break the glass, you know. Right at that moment, I saw car headlights turning into our street. It was my mom coming home. The person on the balcony moved out of sight, and I heard a loud thump. They must have jumped off. When Mom came in, I was a total wreck, barely able to explain what happened. She got the gist and called the cops. They never caught the guy, but a neighbor mentioned seeing a truck in the street. It matched a description from recent reports about attempted child abductions near my school, which was just a block away. The cops thought this person might have followed me or seen where I lived and waited for the right moment when I was alone. It was terrifying to think about how close I came to being in danger. Let me take you back a few years, when I was just an 11-year-old chilling at home with my little bro, who was 7. Picture this. It's around 9 p.m. The night is pitch black, and it's pouring rain outside. We're in our room, right next to the front door. There's this huge window with the blinds wide open, and we're just lost in our books. Then, out of nowhere, the doorbell rings, followed by a knocking sound. My first thought, oh, Mom and Dad are back. But wait, they always use the garage and their keys, right? I peek outside to check for their car, but there's nothing. Just the rain. As I get closer to the door, I hear a man's voice, definitely not my dad's, yelling over the howling wind, "Would you like some cookies? We're selling Girl Scout cookies." In that weather, at this hour, red flags all over the place. I stay quiet and sneak a peek through the peephole and the side window. And there's this moment where my heart just sinks. It's not a dad-daughter duo as you'd expect with Girl Scout cookies. Instead, it's this grown man who looked to be in his late 50s, standing there, soaking wet and no cookies in sight. There's this horrible feeling inside me as I'm checking the locks, knowing he's just inches away on the other side. He keeps knocking, keeps talking about those cookies. I'm thinking about calling the cops, but then it hits me, the blinds in our room, where my little bro is, they're wide open. The lights are on and everything. I round the corner back into our room, and there he is, this guy, just staring in through the window, probably eyeing my clueless brother, buried in his book. My heart's racing like crazy. I muster all my courage, turn off the lights, rush to the window, and slam the blinds shut, all while this creep is watching. I'm running through the house, double-checking every lock and closing all the blinds, and I tell my brother to go hide in one of the big closets, the ones without windows. I don't tell him what's going on, didn't want to scare him. And for some reason, I never call the cops or my parents. I just waited out in the hallway until the guy finally leaves. Thinking about it now gives me the chills. All the things that could have gone wrong that night. My biggest fear has always been a stranger getting to an unlocked door before I do. This wasn't my first rodeo with creepy strangers at our house. When I was younger, this old guy would come knocking late at night, asking for me, forcing me to hide. Another time, this dude shows up with a knife, Mistaking our house for the neighbors, these incidents made me super cautious about opening the door, especially when I'm home alone at night. But the scariest one happened in November 2018. It's England, so by 6 p.m., it's already pitch black outside. I'd just gotten home from work and was upstairs in my room watching YouTube videos. My mom yells up that she's heading out to pick up my brother from work and stopping by the gas station, asking if I want to come along. So I'm there, right? Just chilling, watching my video, when I hear Mom close the door and drive off. I was 17 at the time, and being home alone at night was pretty normal for me. I'm used to the whole creepy, alone in the house vibe. But about 10 minutes later, I started hearing these weird noises downstairs. At first, I brush it off, thinking it's just my cat rummaging for food. Then I remembered he was right there at the end of my bed. I pause my video, and now I'm listening. There's this banging on my back door. I'm spooked, but then I hear keys jangling and I think, oh, it must be my brother. Mom probably dropped him off before hitting the gas station. He gets mad sometimes, so the banging didn't seem too weird. I let it slide and go back to my video. But the noise keeps going. Banging, keys, jangling, dropping, then more banging. That's when it hits me. Something's off. This might not be my brother. I tiptoe out of my room, sit on the stairs, and just listen. My heart's pounding because I'm pretty anxious by nature. You know those late-night noises that always seem scarier than they are. I'm trying to convince myself it's just that. I decided to just face whatever it was. I head straight for the kitchen. Our kitchen has this door that looks right out into the garden. As I turn the corner, I hear this loud bang and footsteps running off. The cat flap's been ripped off, and there's plastic everywhere. I'm trying to tell myself it's anything but a break-in. Still shaking, I call my mom, hoping maybe my brother's just home early and in a bad mood. But then, he answers her phone from the car. "Are you home?" I almost shout. My voice is breaking. I'm so scared. "Please, just tell me if you're home." "No, what do you want?" He replies, part of me praying he's just messing with me. But he can hear the fear in my voice and starts getting worried. I tell him what's up, and he freaks, tells me to call the cops, and tells Mom to get back home ASAP. I'm dialing the police, trying to keep it together, and I lock myself back in my room. Then I hear voices and banging downstairs again. They're back. I'm crying my eyes out to the dispatcher, scared out of my mind. It feels like forever until Mom, my brother, and the cops all show up. We all rush to the back door and see what they did. These people saw the back door keys in the kitchen, grabbed a broom from outside, snapped it on the door handle, and used it to hook the keys through the cat flap. But get this, when they broke the broom, they accidentally snapped off the door handle too, so they couldn't get in from outside. If that handle hadn't broken, they would have been in, and I'd have been upstairs none the wiser. It was obvious they'd been watching our house, just waiting for Mom's car to leave. I don't know if they knew I was there alone or not, but after they saw me and ran off the first time, they came back. Just thinking about it gives me the creeps.